Yahoo, yee-hoo! Gwen Stefani on WRC 88.7 FM, Elmhurst College Radio, and that was The Sweet Escape. Speaking of which, doing this radio show every week is a sweet escape for me. I really love being here. You know, you get to meet some great people, some great artists, and you know, you get to accumulate a lot of friends that you never knew that you would have had. And one of those friends here is a great man, Mr. DJ Ollie V. Ollie, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going great, Ollie. You know what? Thank you very much for asking too, because the guests on the show, not that I'm bad mouthing them, but they never really ask me how it's going. I always ask them, and it's really nice to be asked. So
well,
thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Ollie, we met you a few weeks ago at the York High School Relay for Life.
Yeah.
And you were DJing there, doing a great job keeping everybody rocking. And I just need to ask you how long you've been doing it, because you did it so great. So. Well,
thank you. It was a Relay for Life event. That was the overnighter. That was a nice event. It was that was a good time, actually. There was a lot of fun that a lot of the people. You try to create an environment. You try to create a mood or an ambiance for the people and stuff to kind of enjoy themselves and have a good time. And you know, that basically just comes over, like, you know, you're asking a period of years from when I started back in grammar school, believe it or not.
Really?
Is when I got introduced into the DJing, and got introduced to it by a friend of mine named Steve Sackright when I was, actually, I started in grammar school, and then I had my first chance to meet somebody who was an actual DJ when I was in high school, and that was my buddy Steve. And then from there, the first time I laid eyes on turntables, I was like, okay, that's it, this is what I want to do. And that's when I got started. So now I just turned 40 last week, so you know, from when I was about 12, 13 years old till now, I've been involved in it in some way, shape, or form. So
that's really awesome. Now tell me about in your time from when you were 13 until now, until you're 40. What are some of the milestones that you've encountered to where, you know, something has happened over that time, you know, over your time as a performing DJ, like, and you're just like, okay, now my life is going to be different. My career as a DJ is going to be different. You know, can you tell us about some of those times and what those were like?
Sure. I remember the first day I bought my first turntable. I was actually running a paper route. I was delivering newspaper 7 days a week, and saved up enough money to start buying my gear that way and stuff. So I was about 15 when I started getting into owning my own equipment. That was a big step, you know, getting on my own stuff. And then from there, I practiced and DJ'd and, you know, messed with, you know, bought some records and stuff like that. You know, still remember like the first records that I bought. And within about a year or two, I put out some tapes, some demo tapes, handed them to some promoters. And in '88, I got on my first flyers. So that was like a big thing. You know, people put me on as like a guest DJ on a flyer. So I got 2 bookings the same night. So I had to go from Cicero, Illinois, out to the city over by Belmont and Belmont and Pulaski around there. So I had 2 parties basically the same night. So that was like a big deal. And then I remember throughout the years, basically, you know, within the next year or two, just practicing, spending the whole time, just basically living on the turntables every free minute that I had. You know, when I was in high school, that's all I basically did. Woke up in the morning early, would practice, mess around with the music, listen to, you know, to the stuff, take off, go to school, come back home from school, practice some more. You know, you'd work to save enough money just to go blow it all on all your music, you know, buying, you know, records and stuff.
Right.
And another milestone I'll probably say was about a year and a half into it. I actually got on like a flyer as like a headline DJ, like one of the main guys.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was neat. I was like, oh my god, look at this. And you know, another, you know, cool thing was actually seeing your name on the flyers and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, look at this. I'm, you know, trying to get somewhere with it. But you know, one of the neatest things was being put on the same stage as the biggest DJs at the time. You know, there were guys from like WBMX and WGCI, guys from B96 at the time as well too. And you know, one of the guys who probably made it the biggest out of Chicago was Bad Boy Bill. Mm-hmm. You know, so DJing, like, you know, one of the first parties that I ever DJ'd at that I was on the same flyer that he was on. Was definitely a big event. But you know, going throughout the years, you know, having a chance to meet a lot of the people that you've heard of or a lot of the people that you've listened to, you know, it's like you know, being recognized by your peers. You know, you're out there DJing, you're doing your thing, you're kind of so focused on what it is that you got going on, you just turn around and look, and you know, guys that you've admired and guys that you've looked up to are bobbing their heads and, like, you know, jamming out to what it is that you're doing. Mm-hmm. And it's a sense of, oh my god, these guys are, like, you know, giving me accolades, or somebody patting me on the back saying, hey man, that was nice, or somebody, being good enough to say afterwards, dude, that was sweet, and they shake your hand after your set and stuff, and that actually happened to me one time with Bad Boy Bill at a party that I did, and I knew he was standing right behind me to come in to DJ after me, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna bust a little scratch and stuff like that, I had some fun with it, and as I'm doing the scratch, I could see him peering over my shoulder, because at the time he was doing similar scratches and stuff like that on the radio, so as soon as I did it, I caught his attention, and I saw him leaning over my shoulder watching me scratch. And I was like, oh my God, look at this guy's staring at me, he's watching me get down,
Yeah.
So then after my set was over, I basically, faded off the song and moved away, and as I stepped away from the turntables, he looked at me, and reached out his hand, he goes, dude, that was nice. So getting a compliment from somebody that I look up to like that, who's a world-renowned DJ. I think a couple years ago he was rated like actually the top DJ in the world at one point on BPM magazine. So to get an accolade from somebody like that, you're like, oh my God. It was very humbling, it was super cool, but that's probably one of the biggest things that I can remember that kind of sticks out in my head, like, wow, that was neat, Actually, in DJing on the radio a couple times before too, I've actually had a couple of mixtapes that I did, some segments that were 15-minute mixes on B96. They used to have a Sunday show called The Street Flavor. And Julian Perez was the host, and I knew a couple guys that were close with him, and they said, hey, can you give actually we were doing recordings on reel-to-reels, the big pancake reels. So I had a reel-to-reel machine. I recorded a couple of mixes and turned them in, and I had a couple of my mixes played on B96 as well too, which was kind of neat. So that was another cool thing as well. Also,
Yeah.
so
Now, you talk about how people have become world-renowned DJs. Now, how does that happen? What does a DJ have to do?
you just sacrifice everything pretty much. It's you have to live, eat, breathe. You have to put your heart and soul into it. You have to market yourself as well too. I think something that Bill ended up doing while he was peaking in popularity here in Chicago, he started marketing himself outside of the country. He basically realized that if he was going to make it as a huge DJ, he couldn't just stay in Chicago. Even though he was one of the top DJs here, he had a little bit more of a vision to look beyond what was happening in Chicago. He started changing his musical styles a little bit. He started listening to what was happening around the rest of the world, and there's quite a few huge DJs like Carl Cox, Paul Oakenfold, Tiesto, quite a few big guys like that. So he basically started going after them, and he gave up the radio gig. He gave up the local spots that he had here in Chicago, and started going to France, going to Germany, going to Italy. Started basically traveling, getting some bookings here and there, and before you know it, it started to snowball. But what he did well was he was also a producer. He was on the back end. He made music. He recorded records. He basically was good with beat machines and music production and stuff like that. So he made like a lot of dance songs as well. So that opened up, I'm sure, a lot of doors for him as well too. But even going a little bit further back, when you first get started with that, he started off on rinky-dink equipment, basic stuff like an 808 and 909, some basic MIDI equipment and stuff, and you just basically spend a ton of time honing your craft. One of the things I tell a lot of people when they ask me about starting off DJing, when I try to teach somebody how to beat blend or show them the basics of actual beat mixing, is you have to give yourself permission to sound bad for a long period of time before you can actually sound good. So you have to be willing to kind of endure the awkwardness, kind of the wobble before you walk, so to speak. And you have to kind of be okay with the fact that there's a big learning curve when it comes to this type of stuff, but if you keep at it long enough, eventually you're going to come through it. And the level of success that you get out of it, I think, has a direct effect from how much time you spend into it, and how much emphasis and how much focus and how much energy you put toward it. So it's out there for the taking. It's just a matter of whether or not you want to kind of apply yourself in that sense. So.
Now, Ollie, tell me, what is it exactly that you do as a DJ?
Well, these days I'm actually kind of doing it part-time. I went from being like a mobile DJ to where, I would DJ like a lot of kind of like hot mix parties, where I would go to, places in the city, like a lot of, there was a place called Alcatraz. There was, which is a club that I DJ'd at a few times. There was a lot of mobile sets. They do parties in churches. They do parties in, a place called Northwest Hall, a place called Centrum. There was quite a few places back in the city, like throughout the north side, that every single weekend it was at a different place. It wasn't like a steady location. So these were all like mobile gigs, and I went from basically doing just dance style house music, which is what I got started off in, to where everyone knew who I was, but none of the promoters were paying any of the DJs. You basically was a labor of love. You busted your tail to work as hard as you could to make enough money to buy music. You'd go and play, you'd get your name on flyers, everyone knew who you were, your face was out there, you'd go everywhere, you'd get recognized, but you didn't make a single penny. So it turned into, one day all of a sudden somebody asked me, hey, would you like to DJ quinceañera, sweet 15, sweet 16 party? I said, yeah, sure. How much do you charge? Well, wow, money, what?
Right.
God, I can actually make money doing this? So, you get to the point where you put yourself out there like that, and you're like, wow, wait a second, I can actually make money doing what I love, which is cool. So I started doing that. I got into doing corporate events and weddings and different things. You kind of have to change up your style a little bit. So what I'm doing now was quite different than what it is that I did back then. But what I did back then was basically laying the foundation for something that started off as a hobby, that turned into a way that I could make some money, that turned into a part-time business. So like you guys met me at the Relay for Life. Basically, I was DJing for the event, playing some background music, making some announcements, emceeing on the microphone. Which is a far cry from, DJing house music back in the day for these teen parties or people in their early 20s and stuff like that. But so what I'm doing with it now is quite different. But like I said, the foundation was basically laid to learn how to beat mix. You have to have good interpersonal skills. You have to know how to talk to people. You have to make yourself presentable. So I think a lot of that rolls into, if you're a great DJ but you're a jerk and you're impossible to deal with, no one's going to want to do business with you.
Right.
So you kind of have to be a complete package in that respect. But like I said, the DJing that I'm doing now, I do a lot of corporate events. I do a lot of kids parties, barbecues, picnics, graduation parties. So I mean, you name it, just about anything is what I'm involved in now. But I wouldn't give that up because I'm not interested in going back into like the club scene or doing it for the sake of the popularity or trying to put my name out there. I would rather just be home at a decent time. Kids' parties don't end at 2-3 o'clock in the morning. It's not like I'm doing college rave parties or anything crazy. I just, it's kind of nice. And I'm getting old, so it's kind of nice to be back at home by about midnight, so I can get my beauty sleep. I need it, so.
Right.
I've been told I have a face for radio, so.
You okay. I was like, what? No, Ollie, tell me, what is the craziest party that you've ever played? Now, was it in a club? Was it in a church? Where was it? What was it like?
Oh my goodness, I remember doing one party in the city off of Logan Boulevard, just south of Fullerton, where I took a breather in between a set that I was doing at this party, and I see some flashes across the parkway, and I look at the brick next to me on the building, and pieces of brick are crumbling off. I was getting, where I was standing, we were getting shot at.
What?
Yeah, we were. It was. I don't know what the hell was going on, basically, but so that was kind of like a crazy thing that happened at a party. Aside from. Interestingly enough, I was actually known as the DJ that would start fights for some reason. I would get the crowd whipped up in such a frenzy. I would play them, all the combination of music, the right recipe of stuff that people would want to hear, and before you know it, chairs are flying, bodies are flying, people are, hitting the ground.
Bullets
it's
are flying.
Yeah, in that instance, I had nothing to do with that, by the way. But so those are a couple of crazy things that have happened at parties. But probably one of the craziest parties I think recently I ever did was. Just the energy that I got from it. There was a party a few years back, and I think it was, I can't remember the actual name of the organization, but they're for young teenagers and for teenagers and adults in high school. I think I forget the name of it. It's like the young future leaders of America. I think something like that. Young Leaders of America, some kind of organization like that. There was probably 3,000 kids in this one room that I DJ'd at, and it just turned into. I mean, people were body surfing and stuff. At one point during the party, just the energy. Throwing in songs, people were screaming, and just for like in that moment, I got a glimpse of what it would be like to be like one of these, like huge global DJs, where you just feed off the energy of the crowd and people are going nuts. But yeah, Future Business Leaders of America. That was the name of the organization. And I got to tell you, these kids partied like they'd never heard music before in their lives. They were going nuts. It was absolutely it was a lot of fun. But that's got to be one of the parties that stood out. That was actually a blast.
Now, when you're up there doing what you do, what is it that's going through your mind?
You're trying to read the crowd. You're trying to see what songs they're responding to, so that this way you kind of know what direction to go to with the with the music. You're trying to keep it's kind of like a phlebotomist when they're trying to find the vein. You know what I mean? When they're trying to poke around in your arm.
Right.
Once you hit the source, once you hit where it is that the action's happening, once you kind of hone in on where they're at. Maybe that was a bad example, but once you basically hit the source, you're on. And then you just want to continue to work along that line. So it's different for every crowd. Some people like 90s stuff. Some people want to hear stuff that's from the 70s. It kind of depends on the age range of the people that you're playing for. Some people, that means you're going to play some more R&B based stuff versus pop remixes. With some parties, if they're younger kids, you're going to be playing like Miley Cyrus and Vanessa, Hudgens songs or whatever the case is, whoever, the young artists are basically. But, you kind of have to know who your audience is, first of all. And if there are other DJs that are DJing before you or after you, you kind of have an idea. You know, you can kind of watch what they're doing to kind of understand what it is that's going on, and you can kind of tweak your playlist, you know, accordingly. So it's just basically a matter of trying to watch what they're responding to, and you know, being open to hearing the requests, because people will come up to you and say, hey, can you play this for me? And I'm thinking, oh, that would be perfect. It'll blend right in. And sometimes people will come up to you and say, hey, can you throw in Metallica? And I'm like, yeah, right now.
Right,
you know,
right.
maybe I'll get to it later, but you know, just being polite. But
Yeah.
you know, so it's just, you're just trying to think of, you know, the most current songs, the songs that are, you know, getting a lot of attention, or maybe like a really good old song that hasn't been played in a while that kind of falls right in line with everything else with what the style of music that you're playing at the moment. But like you kind of have to be kind of quick on your feet, and you have to have a good organized library of music, whether you're doing it on vinyl or on the computer system, so that this way you can just kind of grab at it really quick, so you know you're not hesitating and stuff. So.
And how long does that take to set up, you know, outside of the party?
It's something that you're always working on. You're constantly listening to the music, and you know, one of the interesting things that I think people don't take into consideration is the fact that if you talk to most DJs that play a wide variety of music, there's probably a portion of the music that each DJ doesn't even like.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Of course.
there's maybe there's you know, maybe certain people don't like techno style songs. Certain people don't like you know the pop remixes. You know, some people don't like top 40 songs. There's certain artists that maybe certain people don't like. I mean, I'm very fickle. I'm very picky about the music that I listen to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, outside of when I'm DJing, but you know, it's kind of like something that's constantly evolving. You're always, you know, listening to music. You're always kind of, you know, hunting down, you know, the good remixes that are usable for the type of audience that you typically have. You know, again, I'm not the club DJ, so the style of songs and the way that I play my music is going to be different than somebody in a club would, you know. So, you know, he may go into like maybe a deeper, transier type remix of a song versus something that I need that's going to stay more true to the original song, that has a good intro and a good outro, a good opportunity for me to blend in and out of the song without making it too complicated, you know. Because if the song is too over remixed, people are not going to recognize it, at least for the type of audiences that I usually have, and they're going to spend half their time figuring out what song is this.
Right.
You know, people like to hear what they're familiar with in most cases. So.
Now, Ollie, you've been doing this for about 25 to 27 years.
So,
No, that's
How old
that's
are you?
awesome. I am 19 years old.
Jeez.
I know, I'm getting up there, you know.
Oh no, I'm just saying it makes me feel old when I've been doing something longer than other people have been alive. It's kind of.
Ollie, honestly, 40 is 40 is not old. As you know.
It's the new 30.
Yeah, it's the new 25 for God's sake. Really, you know, you look great for your age. People can see this on Good Times Radio TV. Handsome man.
Thank you very much.
So, Ollie, you've been doing this for about 25 to 27 years.
Yeah.
And you've done so much in that time. You've gone so far. You know, even you just saying, "Oh my God, you know, don't remind me." You know, that shows that you know, Ollie, it's been a while. But talking to you, I know that you're not done yet. What else is there for you to do?
You know what? I just want to continue to work at. You know, one of the interesting things that I'm trying to do is spend a little bit more time. I have in my basement, my little man dungeon. I have like a little area set up where I have my turntables and stuff. Usually when I do parties, I'm playing like on CD players and stuff because the technology's changed quite a bit. And
Right.
you know, I'm bringing around laptops and hard drives and stuff. I feel more like an IT guy sometimes than I do an actual
Right.
DJ. But you know, at the house, I have turntables set up, and you know, one of the things that I'm trying to focus a little bit more energy on is I have a 4-year-old son. He's going to be 5 this summer, and I'm introducing him to this. It's something that he's expressed interest in. He loves music. My wife bought him a drum set. He's playing with the drums. He's having a good time with that. One of my daughters plays the guitar, so I want to keep him as interested as possible because I'd like for him to explore this type of stuff as well too, and have an opportunity to do that. But to be honest with you, I think what's next for me is to try to spread as much of the knowledge as I can and teach as many people who would love to be taught about what it is that I do. Because I don't think that from a growth standpoint, I don't know that I want to do anything different than what I'm doing. You know, I have a beautiful wife and kids. I have you know, a comfortable life. I live in the suburbs. I have, you know, literally 2.5 children, and you know, I'm kind of living the dream in a lot of ways and stuff. And I'm very blessed. I'm very fortunate. But I think that the best, I think the biggest thing that I could do that I would probably get the most gratification on is kind of passing this along to other people and, you know, inspiring other people to do the same things. You know, chase what you love and, you know, just continue to give yourself permission to be, you know, to stumble, to kind of, you know, to be awkward. Like they say, there's learning in the wobble. You know, when you're not so sure what it is that you're doing, you're still learning in the process. And kind of encouraging people to go, you know, to chase after it, whether it's the guitar, whether it's the drums, whether it's, you know, the DJing, whether it's music production, whatever the case is and stuff. I hope that at some point I could just inspire somebody to be as passionate about it and have as much fun with it, and to do it because you love to do it, not because you're trying to chase after girls or you want the attention or you want to get a, you know, become like a big name, whoever, whatever it is that you're doing, but you're doing it for the right reasons, and you know, you're passionate about it. And you know, a lot of people say when you do something you love, you never have to work a day in your life. You know what I mean? And you know, I've contemplated doing the DJing and stuff like that full time, but you know, I think I enjoy it more that I get to do it part time, so that this way it doesn't become work for me, so to speak. You know, so. But I think, yeah, to answer your question, I think I would love to put myself more in a position where I could kind of teach more people and expose more people to it, because most people have never seen turntables before. Mm-hmm. You know, most DJs who DJ on turntables don't even own records, to be honest with you. You know, there's a lot of DJs that DJ on records that have never bought a record except for the records that come with like the control vinyl that comes with like software. And there's nothing wrong with that as well too, but like I said, there's a lot of people that have never been introduced to this as an art form, and you know, sometimes people tend to be greedy or stingy with the information because they feel as if though that they own it. But the knowledge that I was given was a gift. Mm-hmm. The things that I learned from other people were things that were, you know, that people freely gave to me and talked to me about and were very gracious with. And you know, who am I to keep that from somebody else? I would love to, you know, teach somebody else and inspire somebody else to do it as well too. So I think that's what's nice.
Have you ever considered writing a book? Because what you say is always just like dead on, man. That's like, you know, that's really, really good.
You know what? I would have too much to say, and I'd probably say all the wrong things for sure. So that's. But you know what? I have had I've had some interesting life experiences, but I don't know if a book would be in order. I think I would love to, you know, maybe a video journal, like some fun stories or some different things, so that this way, you know, when I'm long gone somewhere on YouTube floating around, or some videotapes of some, you know, conversations that I've had with my kids, or different things that we've, you know, fun things that we've done, a way that we can digitally archive it and stuff like that. You know, I think that would be kind of cool. Yeah.
Ollie, where can people reach you at?
They could reach me a number of different ways. I have a website that's in the works. It's just getting set up. It's djolliv.com. You could also reach me via email at djolliv@gmail.com. It's djolliv@gmail.com. And somebody wants to shoot me a text message or make a phone call, I'm always accessible. My phone number is 630-880-7000. And pretty easy guy to get a hold of. I live here locally in Elmhurst as well too. So.
Mr. DJ Ollie, thank you so much for
Thank you for having me,
man.
I appreciate it. This was an honor. Thank you so much, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Same you, Ollie.
Thank
Seriously,
you,
just keep on keeping on, man.
Thank you, brother.
Everybody out here watching us on Good Times Radio TV, we'll be back in a few minutes. We're going to interview Ollie. We're going to be standing up. We're going to be taking a look at some of the equipment that he uses. And for everybody out there in Radio Land, this is WRC 88.7 FM, Elmhurst College Radio. Good Times Friday. We'll be back right after this. DJ Ollie B, thank you very, very much again for being on. And for all the people out there worrying about something, as Ollie said, don't be afraid, you know, because you know you can find the answer in the wobble, something like that, Ollie. Sorry.
There's learning in the wobble. That's right.
There's learning in the wobble. So basically, don't worry, baby.
Awesome.
Right on, Ollie, man. That was awesome.
I was like so nervous.